The silent ascension. For centuries, Earth had been the laughingstock of the galactic community. The blue planet sat at the edge of a spiral arm in the Milky Way, seemingly insignificant, its inhabitants blissfully unaware of the vast civilizations that watched them from afar. The Galactic Council, comprised of the 7 most powerful species in the known universe, had designated Earth as a Class 3 developing world. Interesting enough to observe but not worth bringing into the fold. Humans were considered primitive, short-lived, and physically weak compared to the other sentient species that dominated interstellar politics. Look at them, Grand Admiral Zix of the Arcturus Dominion would often say during council meetings, his 12 eyes blinking in sequence as holographic images of Earth's militaries flashed before the assembly. Their most advanced weapons still rely on chemical propellants. Their ships can barely escape their own atmosphere. They're centuries away from being a concern. The other council members would click, chirp, or hum their agreement. Earth was nothing more than a curiosity, a planet to be studied, perhaps harvested for resources one day, but never feared. They couldn't have been more wrong. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility unknown even to most of Earth's governments, the Sentinel program had been operational for decades. What had begun as a response to mysterious signals detected from deep space had evolved into humanity's greatest secret and its greatest hope. Commander Alexis Vega stood at the observation deck of the Spearhead, Earth's first true warship. At 34, she was the youngest commander in the program's history, chosen not for her years, but for her tactical brilliance and unwavering resolve. Final systems check complete, announced Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel, her second in command. The fleet is ready, Commander. Vega nodded, her eyes fixed on the massive underground hangar that housed not just the Spearhead, but 30 other vessels of varying sizes and capabilities. Each represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity, technology that had been developed in complete secrecy, fueled by recovered alien tech from crashed scout ships and decades of reverse engineering. The council session is about to begin, Raj said, glancing at his neural interface. They're discussing the Arcturus expansion into our solar system. Let them talk, Vega replied, her voice calm but resolute. They've been watching us for centuries, thinking we were blind to their presence. Today that changes. The Sentinel program had discovered the truth 27 years ago when a damaged scout ship from the Proxima Centauri system crash-landed in the Australian outback. The technology recovered had opened humanity's eyes to the universe and to the precarious position Earth occupied within it. Instead of announcing their discovery to the world, a coalition of governments had chosen secrecy. If the galactic powers believed Earth to be primitive and defenseless, that misconception would be their greatest advantage. For nearly 3 decades, Earth had prepared in silence, building a fleet that incorporated both human innovation and reverse-engineered alien technology. The result was something entirely new, ships with capabilities the Council races had never seen before. Commander, Raj said urgently, we're detecting multiple ships entering the solar system. Arcturus signatures. Vega's expression didn't change. How many? 3 capital ships, at least 15 support vessels. They're heading toward Mars. This was it, the moment they had prepared for. The Arcturus Dominion had been harvesting resources from the outer planets for years, careful to stay far enough from Earth to maintain the illusion that humans were unaware of extraterrestrial life. But pushing into the inner solar system, that was a clear escalation. Alert all ships, Vega ordered. Initiate protocol revelation. Across the massive underwater base, pilots and crew raced to their positions. The Spearhead's engines hummed to life, a sound like no conventional engine ever built. The massive hangar doors began to part, revealing the dark waters of the Pacific's deepest trench. All personnel, prepare for ascension, Vega announced over the fleet-wide channel. Today, we show the galaxy that Earth is not what they thought. The fleet rose from the ocean, depths like leviathans awakening from ancient slumber. The Spearhead, a sleek vessel nearly 2 kilometers in length, broke the surface first, water cascading from its stealth black hull. The other ships followed, destroyers, frigates, and fighters, each designed with a perfect blend of function and intimidation. In orbit around Mars, Admiral Zix stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominance. His mission was simple: establish a mining colony on the Red Planet, the latest expansion of Arcturus' influence in this backwater system. Admiral, his communications officer called, "We're detecting multiple energy signatures from the third planet." Zix dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper limb. Probably just their primitive satellites. Ignore them. "Sir, these readings, they're like nothing in our database." Before Zix could respond, his tactical officer let out a sound of alarm. Multiple vessels approaching at high velocity. They've just appeared on our scanners. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Zix felt a flicker of uncertainty. The holographic display showed dozens of ships approaching from Earth, ships that, according to all Arcturus intelligence, should not exist. Aboard the Spearhead, Commander Vega watched as her fleet approached Mars orbit. "Open a channel to the Arcturus flagship," she ordered. Moments later, the bewildered face of Admiral Zix appeared on the main screen. All 12 of his eyes widened at the sight of a human in what was clearly a military command uniform. "This is Commander Alexis Vega of the Earth Defense Fleet," she stated calmly. "You have entered restricted space. The Sol system is under human protection. Withdraw immediately." Zix recovered quickly from his shock, mandibles clicking in what humans had learned was the Arcturus equivalent of dismissive laughter. "Impossible. Earth is a Class 3 world. You couldn't possibly have." "I won't repeat myself." "Admiral," Vega cut him off. "This is not a negotiation. Withdraw your forces or we will remove them." Pride overcame caution in the Arcturus admiral's mind. These humans, regardless of their unexpected ships, could not possibly stand against the might of the Dominion. "You are outmatched, human," Zix declared. "The Arcturus Dominion claims Mars for resource extraction. Your interference will be met with appropriate force." Vega's expression remained unchanged. "Lieutenant Reed, target their propulsion systems. Minimal force." The Spearhead's weapons systems came online, directed energy weapons unlike anything the Arcturus had encountered before. Before Admiral Zix could give orders to raise shields, precision beams struck the engines of all 3 Arcturus capital ships, immediately disabling them. What is this?" Zix stammered, watching as his support vessels suffered the same fate, disabled with surgical precision. "This," Vega replied, "is humanity showing restraint. We could have destroyed your entire fleet, Admiral. Instead, we've simply ensured you can't leave without our assistance." The bridge of the Eternal Dominance fell silent as the implications became clear. Earth wasn't just aware of the wider galaxy. It had somehow developed technology that could neutralize Arcturus vessels with ease. "The Galactic Council will hear of this," Zix finally managed. "That's exactly what we're counting on," Vega responded. "Earth is formally announcing its presence to the galactic community. We will be sending representatives to the next council session." Within hours, emergency transmissions from the disabled Arcturus fleet reached the Galactic Council's headquarters in the Epsilon Eridani system. The 7-member races called an emergency session as reports of Earth's unexpected military capabilities spread throughout civilized space. Grand Counselor Philiv of the Solari Confederation pounded his crystalline gavel, calling for order among the stunned representatives. "This is unprecedented. Earth was supposed to be centuries from developing interplanetary capabilities, let alone weapons that could neutralize Arcturus warships." Admiral Zix, transmitting from his disabled vessel, was humiliated but clear in his assessment. "They disabled our entire fleet without destroying a single ship. Their technology is, I have never seen anything like it." Images of Earth's fleet circulated among the council members. Sleek, black vessels with capabilities that defied their understanding of human development. How had they missed this? How had Earth hidden its advancement from the countless observation posts and spy satellites scattered throughout the Sol system? They must have had help, insisted Counselor Drex of the Vega Compact. Some outside force has been supplying them with technology. No, countered Zix. These are not designs from any known civilization. They have elements we recognize, but configured in ways we've never seen. The humans have been innovating. The word sent a chill through the council chamber. Innovation was rare in the stable, ancient civilizations that dominated the galaxy. Progress came slowly, methodically, but humans, with their short lives and constant drive, had apparently been developing in secret at a pace that defied all predictions. Back on the spearhead, Commander Vega received word that the Council was in emergency session. Humanity's existence as a galactic power could no longer be denied. The deception had served its purpose. Earth had bought the time it needed to prepare. What happens now? Raj asked as they stood watching the disabled Arcturus ships. Vega's eyes reflected the light of Mars on the horizon. Now we negotiate from a position of strength. Earth will join the galactic community not as a primitive curiosity, but as a power to be reckoned with. As her words hung in the air, more ships rose from Earth's oceans and emerged from hidden bases in the asteroid belt. Hundreds of vessels revealing themselves across the solar system in a carefully choreographed demonstration of force. The message to the watching galaxy was clear. Earth was not weak. Earth was not defenseless. And humanity's warriors were just getting started. In the council chamber, the 7 races that had ruled the galaxy for millennia faced an uncomfortable truth. They had catastrophically underestimated the humans. And now, those same humans were demanding a seat at the table. The galaxy would never be the same again. Unstoppable force. 3 months after Earth's dramatic revelation to the galactic community, the political landscape of the Milky Way had been thrown into chaos. Emergency sessions of the Galactic Council had stretched for weeks as the 7 ruling species struggled to adapt to humanity's unexpected emergence as a technological power. Commander Alexis Vega stood before the council chamber's massive observation window, gazing out at the spectacular rings of Epsilon Eridani. As Earth's military representative, she had spent countless hours in diplomatic negotiations, demonstrating remarkable patience in the face of alien skepticism and hostility. Commander Vega, called Grand Counselor Philiv, his translucent skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that indicated stress, the Council requires further clarification on Earth's military capabilities. Vega turned from the window, her face composed. The chamber was filled with representatives from over 200 species, most seeing a human in the flesh for the first time. The 7 council members sat on elevated platforms, looking down at her with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright fear. I've already provided extensive documentation on our defensive capabilities, Vega replied evenly. Earth has no interest in conquest or aggression. We simply demand recognition of our sovereignty and our right to protect ourselves. Admiral Zix of the Arcturus Dominion chittered angrily, his mandibles clicking in agitation. Your ships disabled my entire fleet without firing a single conventional weapon. That technology violates at least 17 galactic conventions on warfare. Vega's eyes narrowed slightly. Conventions that Earth was never invited to sign. Conventions created by powers that have been harvesting resources from our solar system for decades without our consent. A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. Earth's accusations of resource theft had been the most controversial aspect of these negotiations. The established powers had operated under the principle that uninducted worlds had no legal claim to the uninhabited planets in their systems. Regardless, interjected Counselor Drex of the Vega Compact, his reptilian features hardening. The sudden appearance of a militarized Earth presents a destabilizing influence in this sector. We propose a containment treaty. Earth may maintain its defense fleet, but must remain within the boundaries of the Sol system for a probationary period of no less than 50 standard years. Commander Vega's expression didn't change, but those who knew her well would have recognized the dangerous glint in her eyes. Earth rejects any limitations on our movement through space. We came here in peace, despite decades of covert operations against our planet. Do not mistake our restraint for weakness. Before the Council could respond, an emergency alert blared through the chamber. Holographic displays activated, showing a massive fleet emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the Epsilon Eridani system. "The Krell Imperium," gasped Councillor Philip. "They've crossed the neutral zone." For the first time, real fear swept through the Council chamber. The Krell had been the galaxy's boogeymen for millennia, a highly advanced militaristic species that existed beyond the boundaries of Council space. The uneasy truce between the Council races and the Krell had held for centuries, but always remained fragile. They'd brought their dreadnought fleet, Admiral Zix observed, his professional assessment cutting through his personal animosity toward the humans. "This is a full-scale invasion force." Commander Vega studied the tactical displays with a calm that surprised the panicking Council members. "How long until your defense fleet can mobilize?" she asked. Councillor Philip's skin paled to near transparency. "The combined fleet is scattered across Council space. It would take days to assemble a force capable of challenging the Krell." Vega nodded once, then activated her neural interface. "Spearhead, this is Commander Vega. Initiate Protocol Guardian. Maximum jump." The Council chamber erupted in confused voices as Vega turned to address them. The Earth Defense Fleet was already positioned at strategic points throughout this sector, anticipating possible responses to our emergence. "Our ships will hold the line until your forces can arrive." "Impossible," Admiral Zix protested. "Even if you had ships nearby, no known drive system could bring them here fast enough to intercept the Krell." The answer came not in words but in the sudden appearance of dozens of signal markers on the tactical displays. Earth ships, far more than the Council had previously been aware of, were emerging across the system, their unique drive signatures confounding the Council's tracking systems. "As I said," Vega stated calmly, "we anticipated various responses to our revelation. The Krell, with their rigid, expansionist ideology, were high on our list of potential aggressors." Outside the Council station, space itself seemed to ripple as the Spearhead materialized alongside 20 other human capital ships. Unlike conventional hyperspace transitions, which required vast energy buildups and left ships vulnerable for precious seconds, the Earth vessels appeared instantly, combat-ready, and in perfect formation. On the bridge of the Spearhead, Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel had taken command in Vega's absence. All ships maintained defensive positions around the Council station. Interceptors deploy in standard screen formation. Smaller Earth vessels launch from the capital ships, arranging themselves in a complex defensive grid between the approaching Krell fleet and the Council headquarters. The Krell, clearly surprised by the unexpected resistance, briefly paused their advance. In the Council chamber, the tactical displays showed the unfolding situation with perfect clarity. The Earth ships, heavily outnumbered, had positioned themselves with tactical precision that even Admiral Zix couldn't help but admire. "Your fleet cannot stand against the Krell dreadnoughts," he told Vega, his tone less hostile now, almost concerned. "Those ships have destroyed entire worlds." Vega's response was interrupted by a transmission from the lead Krell vessel. The main display activated to reveal Supreme Commander Gort, his exoskeletal face expressionless as all Krell were, but his intent clear in his posture. "Galactic Council," the Krell commander's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "Your time of dominance has ended. The Krell Imperium claims this system and all its resources. Surrender or be destroyed." Before any Council member could respond, Commander Vega stepped forward. "This is Commander Alexis Vega of Earth. The Epsilon Eridani system is under our protection. Withdraw your forces immediately." For a moment, the Krell commander seemed confused by this unexpected speaker. "Earth, the primitive world from the Orion Spur. Your interference is unanticipated." "We get that a lot," Vega replied dryly. "Nevertheless, my statement stands. Withdraw. Supreme Commander Gort's compound eyes flickered in what those familiar with Krell expressions recognized as amusement. Your species is unknown to us, human, but your arrogance is noted. Your small fleet cannot hope to stand against the might of the Imperium. Then I suggest you pay very close attention to what happens next, Vega responded before cutting the transmission. She turned to the council members, who were watching her with a mixture of disbelief and desperate hope. I recommend you reinforce your station's shields. Things are about to get interesting. Out in space, the Krell fleet resumed its advance. Their massive dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon, powered up weapon systems capable of reducing planets to rubble. The Earth fleet, seemingly hopelessly outmatched, held its position. All ships, Raj ordered from the Spearhead's bridge, activate Aegis protocols. Execute coordinated defense pattern Sierra. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The Earth vessels, instead of engaging in conventional combat, activated a previously unseen defensive system. Streams of nanoscale particles flowed from emitters on each ship, connecting them in a vast, glittering web of energy. The first Krell energy barrage, enough firepower to shatter a small moon, struck this web and simply disappeared. The energy wasn't deflected or absorbed in the traditional sense. It simply ceased to exist upon contact with the human defensive field. In the council chamber, absolute silence fell as the impossible unfolded before them. The Earth ships, using technology that defied the understanding of even the most advanced council races, were neutralizing the full offensive capability of the Krell dreadnoughts without firing a single shot in return. What are we seeing?" whispered Counselor Philip. "The Aegis system," Vega explained calmly. "A defensive technology unique to Earth. It creates a localized bubble of altered physics, essentially, a space where energy weapons simply cannot function as intended." Admiral Zix stared at her, mandibles slack with shock. Such technology would require manipulation of fundamental universal constants. That's theoretical science, not practical engineering. For you, perhaps, Vega acknowledged. Earth's scientists took a different approach to physics than most galactic civilizations. We discovered certain shortcuts. On the main display, the Krell fleet had halted its advance, clearly reassessing the situation. Their most powerful weapons rendered useless, they switched to kinetic projectiles. Massive rods of dense material accelerated to relativistic speeds. "Kinetic weapons incoming," reported an Earth tactical officer over the open channel. Raj's voice came back calm and steady. "Initiate gravity wells." Small devices detached from the Earth vessels, positioning themselves in the path of the incoming projectiles. When activated, they generated localized gravitational distortions, so powerful that the Krell projectiles were pulled off course, many colliding with each other in spectacular explosions of light and debris. In the council chamber, the assembled representatives watched in awe as Earth's defensive technologies systematically neutralized every offensive option in the Krell arsenal. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just developed advanced technology. They had fundamentally reimagined how space warfare functioned. Supreme Commander Gort's transmission cut through the stunned silence. "What manner of weapons are these?" he demanded, his translator unable to fully convey the combination of rage and fascination in his voice. Commander Vega stepped forward again. "Not weapons, Commander. Shields. Earth believes in defense before offense. We have no desire to destroy your fleet, only to demonstrate that you cannot destroy us or this station." The Krell commander's compound eyes focused intently on Vega. "The Imperium does not retreat." "Then the Imperium will be very, very bored," Vega replied. "Because you cannot advance, and we will not yield. However, we are open to discussing terms that would allow you to withdraw without losing face." For nearly an hour, the standoff continued, with the Krell attempting increasingly desperate offensive measures, all neutralized by Earth's defensive systems. Finally, in a move that shocked the council races as much as the initial confrontation had, Supreme Commander Gort requested a direct parley with Commander Vega. As Vega prepared to transfer to the diplomatic shuttle, Admiral Zix approached her. "How did your species develop such technology in secret?" he asked, professional curiosity overcoming his previous hostility. Vega studied him for a moment before answering. "When you're considered too primitive to be a threat, no one pays attention to your scientists theorizing about alternative approaches to physics. No one notices when you recover fragments of a dozen different alien technologies from scout ships. No one expects you to take concepts considered theoretical by advanced races and simply make them work. But why this focus on defense? With technology like yours, you could have conquered half the galaxy by now." Vega's expression softened slightly. "Because Earth learned from its own history, Admiral. We've seen what happens when technological advantage leads to imperial ambition. We chose a different path, to create defenses so powerful that we never need to rely on offense." The implications of her words settled over the council chamber as Vega departed for her meeting with the Krull commander. The assembled representatives began to understand that humanity hadn't just hidden its military capabilities, it had developed an entirely different philosophy of power. 3 days later, an unprecedented treaty was signed aboard the Spearhead. For the first time in known history, the Krell Imperium agreed to formal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council, with Earth serving as the mediator between these ancient adversaries. When Commander Vega returned to the council chamber to present the treaty, she was met not with the suspicion and hostility of before, but with a new respect. "The Council recognizes," announced Grand Councilor Philip, "that our assessment of Earth and humanity was profoundly in error. We formally extend an invitation for Earth to join the Galactic Council, not as a probationary member, but as a full and equal partner." Vega accepted the offer with grace, but added one condition that would fundamentally change galactic politics forever. Earth accepts with the understanding that all sovereign species, not just the current 7, will be given equal voice in council matters. As word spread throughout the galaxy of Earth's dramatic stand against the Krell and the revolutionary defensive technologies they had revealed, the perception of humanity underwent a seismic shift. The species that had been dismissed as primitive and weak had emerged as not just powerful, but as something even more unexpected: wise. Back on Earth, the news of humanity's new standing in the galaxy was met with both celebration and solemn recognition of the responsibilities that came with it. The Sentinel program, once Earth's greatest secret, became the foundation for a new era of human innovation and leadership. Commander Alexis Vega, standing once again on the observation deck of the Spearhead as it orbited Earth, reflected on how quickly everything had changed. The galaxy had thought Earth defenseless, only to discover that its warriors were unstoppable, not through superior firepower, but through reimagining what strength truly meant. "Commander," Raj said, joining her at the window, "the first diplomatic delegations from across the galaxy are beginning to arrive. Earth's never seen anything like this before." Vega nodded, watching as ships from dozens of civilizations entered Earth orbit, not as conquerors or observers, but as equals seeking partnership with the species that had changed everything. "They thought we were weak," she said softly, "because they defined strength only by the ability to destroy. We showed them a different kind of power." As the Spearhead moved to escort the arriving delegations, the stars seemed somehow brighter than before, illuminating not just a new chapter for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. Humanity's warriors had proven unstoppable, not because they were the strongest or the most advanced, but because they had found a path that no other species had thought to explore, the strength that comes from choosing to defend rather than destroy. And in that choice, they had changed the stars themselves.